the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
Roll call. Mike Bond's here.
Jeff Burdi here,
Vincent here.
and a Klein here.
Della here. Acknowledge also Tracy Kellogg is here, and Deputy Supervisor John Perry's here also.
Open public comment.
I will find my whole thing. Packet. Which is my packet. Okay. All right, I want to open up public comment. If anybody wants to speak, 2 minutes, be cordial, not to throw you out. Name and,
Thanks, Mike. Yeah, so my name's John Michelotti. I was here on October 22nd.
what's your address, John?
It's 105 Xena Road. And
Okay, do me one favor, just spell your last name.
sure, it's Michelotti is Michelotti.
Thank you.
The comment that I'm here to make echoes what I said on October 22nd, which is really to stress the idea of ADUs in the town of Berkeley. Now, I understand, obviously, you have a very full agenda, and I appreciate all that you are doing. I'm just here to understand. I would love your feedback on what the process is to approve this and potential time frame. And thanks again for all you do.
We'll discuss that during our discussion.
Okay. I will say, unfortunately, I have to leave like 7. I have another meeting at 7.
We'll get it done.
Okay. Thanks.
Anybody else wish to speak? Five of you. An address?
Hi, good evening. My name is Ralph Durham, I live at 94 Ridge Drive in West Hurley. And I just wanted to bring you all up to date. On Monday, there was a joint boards meeting of the Hudson River Valley Greenway, which we had submitted a grant. And at that meeting, the grant was announced, and the West Hurley grant for the replacement of the kiosks was given.
You ruined it.
I know.
That was so I
Sorry.
I already know that.
I have to have my moment in the sun.
Yes, now you can sit down. Anthony, you want to, Tony, you want to
So
speak?
if you want me to,
No,
when you do that, you
No.
get,
we get that. We get that coming. Well, no, at the, when we talk about the kiosks and so forth.
well, you want to do it now or it's an agenda?
We'll talk
We're
during the
still in
agenda.
public hearing.
Yeah.
Oh, well, it's not a $10,000 grant, it's a $6,900 grant. And early share is $3,450. The procedure is that we're purchasing 3 kiosks from Vermont Timber. They're gonna deliver them here. We have to decide where that's gonna be with Mike at some point. I don't know when they're gonna deliver them actually, because part of this whole process is that these grants are reimbursed after the vendor is paid. So we've got to get an MOU in place from Greenway that Mike has to review and sign. When that's done, then we're gonna pay the vendor, and then if the kiosks will be delivered. And I don't know when they're gonna put them into the ground, probably in the spring, I guess. But that's essentially it on that. We're, as a sideline, we've got 2 or 3 other grants outstanding. We're waiting for a contract on the EV charger to come to Mike from the county. And we've got 2 grant applications in for Wi-Fi upgrades for this building and for the early firehouse. And there's this other county thing, that's gonna be part of the county issue also. That money comes from Ulster County, even though the application was private. So they should be coming soon.
Yes.
Let's see who has the spoken. You're gonna speak later. Speak later. You guys want to speak back there? All right, since no other public comments, I'll make a motion to close public comment. Second. All in favor? Aye. So, done. Minutes we don't. Trace?
There is an email on my desk, ready to be hit. It says, minus, but so by tomorrow, you will have it.
Okay. Town clerk's report. I also an email that we had sent tomorrow.
That is true, because I didn't bother printing it out. I'm sorry. I got way late on minutes.
Okay.
I don't have to.
Supervisor report. I just want to say, after budget 2025 has been approved, not approved, but has been, accepted by the town, accepted by the county, tax rates have been set. All right, and I just want to go quickly over the budget itself, what it is. Congratulations. What's that?
Congratulations on getting that.
Well, that's John Carroll.
Congratulations, John. Congratulations, everybody.
Okay, this is the new one, corrected one, everything's done correctly here. All right, so this is the, new budget. I'm just gonna review this budget in comparison to last year's budget, 2024. All right, the general budget, which is the first line there, will have, this year for 2025, there's an increase of $164,830, which is an 8.9% increase in the budget for 2025. And I gotta explain why that is so. And the reason being very so is, if you go back to, if you look at the budget from last year, 2024, go. You can see that the, it's 1.8 million was the budget there. The budget for 2023 was 2.1 million. So this budget right here was $300,000 shorter than the budget in 2023. Now, compounding this whole problem was that we also, there was supposedly a 300,000, I should say, a 600,000 surplus. $300,000 for general fund and a $350,000 surplus for the highway. That,
Where's that money going? Do you have it, Mike?
well, let's put it this way, we can't locate it. You know,
You mean,
it was stated that this money, was a surplus. In the reconciliation of December of 2023, it showed there was 259,000. I'm sorry, it was,
You mean
261.
The pie graph?
No. The last, meeting we had in December.
Yeah, it was a pie graph.
But it was also shown
It
where the
wasn't
money
a
went
chart of
to.
accounts.
There was a resolution that was draft for transitioning of the
It was
funds.
a reconciliation, and it said the fact that it was $261,000 in general fund surplus and $260,000 in highway surplus.
And what was the reality, Mike?
I can't find it.
Well, right, but then what,
My
not
feeling
only
is,
did we not find that,
No,
what
it's
was
not-
the reality, Mike?
the reality is that we had to make up that money. So anyway, so what happened basically is, to me, I would think the money still resides in the general fund. That's where all the money is anyway, so I think the fact that, saying that this was a surplus and so forth is not validated. That's the first thing. And on top of that,
So there was no surplus.
it appears there was no surplus. All right, I could not find it in the budget, more or less, it could be, Wendy, I believe. And, Quigley also could not find it, and RBT could not find it either, going through. Plus the fact also that we was saddled with. at the
So you had a
beginning-
public accountant look at this and they can't find the money.
All right, I mean, it's not that, it's not the
Yeah,
fact
I
they
mean-
can't find it, it's just the fact that,
the
the money
accounting was incorrect.
is incorrect.
That's what you need to say. It's the accounting that was
Yeah,
incorrect.
All right,
It's not that the money just
it did, no, it did
disappeared
disappear.
and go into somebody's
What
pocket.
it's doing basically.
Well, it suggests how you're talking, you would suggest, you would insinuate that,
All right,
and that's not,
let me correct that.
it wasn't accounted for properly.
So the money wasn't tracked correctly.
Correct, track correctly and so forth, even though it was put in to certain.
Exactly, yeah, however, they.
Not only that, but then there was money that we spent, you've referenced numerous times throughout the year that we spent this year. So how much really was the total?
We spent so far this year to pay off 2022, 2023, and 2021 bill. We spent close to $300,000. pay those bills that were not paid in 2021, 2022, and 2023.
But not only was there no surplus, we spent an additional 300,000 cleaning that up.
Yes,
Is that correct?
yes.
Or, so that would be, that, based on your math, that would be like $900,000?
It's $300,000.
That's what you're saying?
Yes.
$900,000.
That's yes. But it doesn't mean that the 200,000 that was 660,000 that was supposedly accounted for. It's not accounted for. It's just basically, the accounting was all.
So any surpluses were offset by expenditures that were not accounted for 22 and 23.
Yeah.
So there still should have been $300,000 in there from the highway. That has not been accounted for either. So
Right.
the thing is an offset of general, for the general budget of about 300,000. So it's basically a zero. There was no surplus.
And
But
then
the highway, we should still have 300,000 and change in there based on what was left over from the 23 into 24.
what about these monies that were misspent, or however you want to say it, out of the capital fund? Misclassified, various, expenditures that are traditionally operating expenses that were actually spent out of capital funds without board approval.
So what
How
we
much
did,
did that total?
that totaled about 250,000.
Do we need to do addition to the 600,000 or 900,000? Are you talking about 1 point something million dollars now? Is that
There
what
was
you're
actually,
saying?
in a sense, there was $1.7 million that was
1.7.
No, 1.1
Would be,
100.
yeah, about, yeah.
1.1 million that the accounting was off. No, it doesn't mean the money itself was taken out. It still probably resides in the general fund.
Well, the money from the,
You need to say
H funds is gone, right? That got spent. as did the money to go to the bills. So you can't say that you have the money when we get, like, that money got spent and not accounted.
Well, it's the accounting that's involved.
Because in effect, starting in, what was it, May of 2023, there was basically no check register.
March 23rd.
March of 2023, there was no check register being kept.
All right. So anyway, I just want to go back to the budget 2025. And so the general budget decrease over 2024 is $164,830, which is an 8.9% budget increase. The expected revenue also increased by the expected revenue by $144,850 for a 14% increase in revenue. The taxes, the increase is $19,980 over 2024, which shows a 2.4% tax increase. All right. Now, the thing is, though, with the tax cap and so forth, is that we're not sure if we're over the tax cap, because part of the tax cap also is including the ambulance service. So we are still waiting for the state controller to give us what our tax cap number is, including the ambulance service. All right. Now, the highway has they've increased their budget by 24,247, which is a 1.2% increase. Their expected revenue is down by $7,000, which is a negative 2.8%, or a decrease of 2.8%. Their tax rate increased by 31,438, which is a 2% tax rate. The lighting, the special districts, lighting, no change, 0%. The library, their budget increased by 1.4%. The fire districts, their budget increased by 17,559, 1.4%. And then we have to add in the ambulance district, which is $225,000, and $225,000 also will come out of the unallocated funds for general fund. The grand total of the entire budget is Hurley's budget is $5,998,778, all right, which is a $438,621 increase in the budget, which is a 7.8% increase in the budget, while the total tax rate shows an increase of $300,962, which is a 7.39% tax increase here. Now, in that tax increase also is a $225,000 for the ambulance service here. I'm going through it, so. This is, now again, this is not total yet because the, state controller has to go through and then see exactly how much, inflation rate is also affected by this. But this is the, basically not the net, but the gross of what the increase is, of what it is. So basically, we're around 7% of increase in taxes coming through there. And with this, believe it or not, it's comparable to every single municipality in Ulster County. And by the way, there is no penalty to go over cap.
I ask you a question.
Well, since yeah, you can answer because you're involved with the highway department.
How much of that do you think is townwide with, upgraded salaries and benefits? How much of the tax?
That's, that increases also, that, I believe it was something like 3 or 4% increase in town budget for, upgrading salaries.
I didn't do the whole thing, so I didn't have all the numbers, but I figured it was around.
One of the things is also, if you look over here, we see it says, for the highway, it says $200,000 for our unexpended balance. I didn't count that because, we don't know. Now, we don't know, if that's gonna be happening, so I eliminated that portion of it, just to make sure. All right, and then also, if you look at the, ambulance, for the less unexpended balance there, also should be 225,000 in there also, but that's what we're gonna be using as, to pay off the remaining of the ambulance service.
All right, so we're gonna do our best to be real frugal over the next year. Trying to be frugal again this year. We got truck 17 in the shop getting a new CPU, so that's gonna be around 8,000. Truck 17 is already close to about $40,000 between last year and this year. I can't wait to get rid of that truck.
Any questions about the, numbers I gave?
So I mean,
All right. I do apologize. It's actually, I should have said unaccounted.
Yeah.
Counting.
I mean,
I wasn't insinuating a mistake.
Yeah.
I'm saying that the money is residing in the, general fund, but really, not being done or not being used as what it should.
Yeah, I mean, we were on the board and part of this, so and there were a number of things that we did not see. That appeared. So we know that there was accounting issues.
Yes.
I mean, we still
Significant.
don't get a monthly or bi-weekly update on, a log of accounts and where they stand based on the budget.
Well, the reason being is that we are shifting, going from Williamson, accounting to, quick.
I understand that there's a lot of
I know.
things, right, but ultimately, until that happens,
We will have that done by the next meeting. We'll have a reconciliation, so forth. We get everything done, and then we'll have an accounting of basically of every budget line. There. It's just, well, I feel that, I gotta praise Wendy Trojak for what she's doing, because since, Jim Quigley has backed out of, helping us in some of his own issues at town hall in the Ulster, she's done a yeoman's job. She's really, and I've asked if she wanted help. She goes, not mine. But,
Smart girl. I got a little blunt.
no, but I think, she's doing 2 jobs right now. She's doing 2024 and she's doing 2023. Wait till she has to do 2022. So it's really, thank you, Wendy.
You're welcome.
You're making my job, you're making the board's job much easier. So,
Please announce the good news.
what's the good news?
As of today, everything has been submitted to RBT,
Oh, yes.
which is our outside accounting firm, to complete the AFR for 2023. It is not complete.
Well,
That in itself is a goal. They have to enter all the numbers. They will then transfer it over to us. We will review it, and then it will be sent. So that is about 6 months of really hard work to get those numbers right. And that is one of the reasons why you don't have numbers and a current financial report, because there was nothing to build off on. Right. And we are finding a lot of problems. Mike went through almost 200 outstanding checks that were never cleared in the accounting system. So they had to be, the check numbers had to be researched. The bank The bank statements had to be pulled and we had to go through each individual check to figure out, okay, was this recut? You know, what happened to this? Was this just a mistake? It takes a lot of time. There were probably 6 or 7 things in something called a suspense account. Basically, holding tank, that they had no idea what to do with that. So we had to research that. I mean, it's been hours on the phone with Bank of Greene County, finding documents that are non-existent, researching visa charges. It's really been a disaster, but we are absolutely headed in the right direction. And this was a huge accomplishment for the town of Hurley. I think by the end of the month, we'll have it done, hopefully, and it's just gonna be getting better.
Yeah, and I've also, I've spoken to Wendy Falzone for a long period today and yesterday, and I asked her basically is, do we need to do an audit? Yeah, this is, she said no.
But we have to, but we have to.
No, what the state has said and recommended an audit. My feeling is that it's gonna cost $50,000 to do an audit. My feeling is we send it to the state, they will come back and say, do an audit.
Well, we'd have to reverse that resolution. You'd have to reverse the resolution.
UHY?
Yeah,
Yes.
we resolved to hire that.
Right, yes. Yes.
Well, and I maybe it's too early yet, because I think we might still want to have an audit, but maybe when we see what the books.
Yeah.
What RBT.
Well, what I'm hoping for.
Don't pull that out.
No. What I'm hoping for is that the state will do an audit. And we're due for an audit. I mean, when you were supervisor.
Yeah, so I mean, the state will do the audit no matter what. Private, you should have a private auditor come in so you have a time frame in order to get it done. The state could take 2, 3, 4 years. We've seen this. We're just getting back to some of the things that were when I was in office. So I would say a private audit should be done. It should be done so that you have a time frame of 3 to 6 months. So you have this, and then we can continue forward from 23 and then 22, 23, and then 24. And then we're moving forward into 25 on a nice clean slate. And I think that the public deserves that.
Okay, all right.
I
So I guess we had.
I would concur because your numbers are so far off and you're not sure necessarily where, that you need an outside
All right,
person.
so when it comes back to us, at the end of the month, so, you know, we'll send it out to UHY and.
Once you have the numbers, that'd be a good time to discuss it.
Right.
But just like what Wendy said, we have to tail end, okay, do that, 2023 AFR. And then we're gonna, probably, negotiate, we'll talk to RBT, do it 2024 AFR, fine. And since, we have now in control, we have control of 2024, that shouldn't be that difficult. And, you know, the deadline is March 31st of 2025. I think we can hit it.
We absolutely are.
So all we have to do basically is, we just, send them a
Transfer
quick
the
one.
file to them.
Send the files, do the quick ones, and that's it. Going through this. So I think, we're coming out of the park. Yeah. That's what I have to say for the supervisor's report. All right. Now.
Did you do that first?
Let's do. All right, I'd rather do the hearing later on, because these things, this is very short, there's very little to go on. So if we do the public hearing a little bit later. All right, so let's just go through and, the Climate Smart Award and NYSERDA grants. I gotta thank you, Kristen.
And
You-
the whole team, right?
The whole team.
Task force, yes.
You want to explain what's it?
So, this is the tail end of the, Clean Energy Communities Program. We were able to get to tier 2 and 3 of the clean heating and cooling, program, which meant that we documented, over 30 installations of, heat pumps in the town. So we reported that to NYSERDA and, were awarded a $10,000 grant and a $20,000 grant for those 2 tiers. And so, the thing about these grants is that they have a list of clean energy projects that they will fund, that we can fund with this money. And so we had to come up with a proposal of this is what we want to do with this money. And one of them was, you know, it just so happened that Mike said that you were going to bring landscaping and lawn mowing in-house. And There are all these new, electric battery, powered landscaping equipment. And that's, a really good way to reduce greenhouse gas emissions because, there's, the statistic that I hear a lot is that a two-stroke leaf blower running for an hour creates the same greenhouse gases as a car driving over 1,000 miles. I mean, and just think about all summer long for, leaf blowing and trimming and mowing, and none of those things have pollution controls on them. So now they've come out with products that work, comparable to the combustion engine products, things like trimmers, even chainsaws. So I talked to Lou Cardinal over at Marbletown Highway Department. They got a $5,000 grant and bought things like chainsaws and trimmers and so on, just to find out what their experience was. And he was pretty positive and said, there are things a little different, but in general, they're really handy. You can keep them charged up in your truck. If you need to chainsaw, cut something with your chainsaw, it's right there and it's ready to go. You don't have to deal with pulling the cord and breathing in all the emissions and the noise. There's a lot of advantages to these. So we're going to, first of all, we're getting a zero turn commercial grade lawnmower. The charger to go with that. We're getting chainsaws, trimmers, hole saws, leaf blowers, and also weed whackers. So with this money, and I think it is money well spent, and it will save us money going forward because we won't have to purchase gasoline, and also the maintenance of these is supposed to be much easier because, a lot of the maintenance has to do with the engine and, all of the parts, keeping them lubricated and all this and that. So a lot of that goes away when you use an electric motor. So I think it's a win-win.
It's even a bigger one because, we spent $42,000 on mowing this season. That we're gonna do it in-house now. We got maintenance man more or less. And one of the nice things also is that when the zero turn mower was priced, it was priced at $23,000. We're getting it for $17,000. All right, and the quote, this is the quote that you got, and they're holding the quote for us until we get the money and then go buy it and all that. And what we're gonna do is talk to Mike Schultes about it. You have a trailer, Mike, that doesn't fit your needs. All right, so, and you want to get another trailer, so we can take that trailer to have hook onto a town vehicle to schlep all the stuff to wherever it costs you. So anyway, so like this is something that's really incredible.
Yeah. So the mowing we're talking about is along the rail trail, the cemetery, Ribbon Park out here, and around the town hall, but also the town park, the fields up there, and also the landfill cap, which.
We may, I'd like to talk to the board about that, because we used to mow that cap. I don't think you need to mow it every week or every other week, keep it like a golf course, but we can have that discussion in the spring.
Okay, we'll have that later on. Okay.
Yeah. So, and that would be a good thing, is just let's everything, and maybe we don't need to mow everything.
How does the old library get mowed? The library mows it?
I don't know.
I think our company does. I think
I don't think I saw the library.
I'm not sure. I'd have
I
to
think
pull it
that
up.
the librody.
Probably the same time. It
I think
doesn't.
I think the library doesn't know.
They could, I'm not sure.
There's very little of them do.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Kristen.
Thank you, Kristen.
So where are we purchasing these locally?
Well, Mike is pursuing that, yeah, but the lawnmower is from
Any
Hoover.
price you get, if you go to hers, they'll probably match it. So potentially you're gonna need extra batteries.
Yes,
So we should just look into that as well.
yeah. That was, well, we priced it with batteries for each thing.
but then we need extra batteries.
Yes.
You're gonna need multiple.
Yeah, Milwaukee came out with a new model battery. They're phasing out their old 18-volt batteries.
All right, so we'll go from there.
As long as it's under 20, you don't have to competitive. with it, so.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. All right, then,
Thank you.
and by the way, $20,000 and just, 20,000 and 10,000, this, 2 grants. Prior, there was $25,000 that the finance market gave us also.
But that rolled in the sale price for saving 5,000.
Yes. Okay, next thing is the kiosk grant, I guess, let the cat out of the grant.
All right, so now we're just waiting for, Hudson River Valley to send us.
I have a question to ask you. We also discussed last week, that's Jeremy. Yeah. All right, we discussed last time about refurbishing the kiosks that are there right now. We spent like $700 to refurbish them. What do we do now? We still refurbish them and then re-extras?
Well, I thought that's what we were gonna
Okay.
say, that extra one, because they really want to refurbish.
Okay.
the-
All right, so- All right, so we didn't talk to you was,
Now, he gave us something last time about, that he couldn't use the roof thing, we were supposed to get something.
I spoke to, ZJF. who's doing that. I'm sorry?
ZFJ.
ZFJ. We there with the Elko Library, and they said they will donate the material, metals, the kiosks.
Oh, good. Will they do the work too? Because it sounded like, you know,
I-
didn't have the expertise to do it.
Well, I could ask them.
Yeah, ask them, because I don't think that,
Okay.
Nugent's have to,
My,
they don't want
my
to.
understanding is that he had basically committed with his family, his sons.
Right, but he
to
gave-
do the actual
Right,
work.
but he gave us the thing last time that he'd rather see a metal roof on it, and they couldn't do the metal roof.
Yeah.
That they would go do a,
Wanted to do the traditional,
but he wanted the metal roof, you know, because it lasts longer. That's why we.
I will talk to Jefferson.
Yeah, find out.
I'm doing that also.
So did we receive the grant?
Yeah,
So it's sitting in our account?
No,
No.
not yet.
So we have to spend the money before we get the money. So you were awarded the grant.
Awarded,
and
but
we
not-
were-
Hold on a second, hold on. We weren't officially awarded the grant. Nothing came to my desk yet.
No. I'm getting
I just
the
received it.
information from Greenway, which will be an MOU plus a list of what we have to comply with. When I get that stuff, I'll forward it to you and we'll go forward from there.
Okay.
All right, the next thing here is the senior account clerk training request.
So you guys are sending me Thursday to the New York State GFOA. It's just a day training, but the annual training is April 2nd to the 4th. It is in Albany. So I would stay up there, but I have already scheduled to stay like I did last year with the town of Ulster employees. So I use their hotel. So it doesn't cost the town the hotel. It would just be the cost of the training. I believe it's around $350. But I can bring it back to you guys in January. Didn't have time to grab the amount, but basically what it is it's through New York State and it's a lot of networking. It's good. You meet, you know, different banks, you meet investment companies, you learn about different financial companies, things like that. So I went last year. It was really good. I'm asking to go again.
You're gonna need accurate numbers. It's 350, we need those 350. You're gonna have to do mileage when you come back.
Yeah, I would say it will be less than $500.
For 2 nights.
Yep, but I'm not paying for the hotel.
Yep.
And I believe some meals are included. I don't eat much. So it's basically just for the conference and I don't. So it's up to you guys. If you want to pass the resolution for the $500, that's great. You want me to come back in January?
Yeah, we need
The actual number, I
It's gotta
will.
be in the new budget. Ron.
The only thing is they all are offering an early bird special, but I believe it's good until like February 1st, so I'll bring it back.
Usually that's true.
Okay.
All right, next one.
All right, next thing is, again, let's switch the senior account clerk title to a bookkeeper.
So you guys had originally established Jim Quigley as the bookkeeper and put me into the title of senior account clerk because I had already did that in the past and it was just an easy switch. Jim is no longer here. I am doing double the work. I am not asking for a salary increase. I'm asking for the title change. That title change does include me taking an exam when it comes out. That I'm not worried about.
Through civil service.
Yes, correct. Yeah, it's municipal bookkeeper.
So that's the title, municipal bookkeeper.
And then does that serve at the pleasure of somebody, like, does that serve at the pleasure of Mike Palms, or how is that structured? Is that civil service, or how?
You
is
know,
that
it's a
structured?
civil service position. I believe it would be the same as serving at the pleasure of the town supervisor.
Right, but well, because we're a town of the second class, so we either get a confidential secretary or a bookkeeper, not
No, you get selection of one.
one. Right,
One
that's
comes
what I
off
said,
of the-
one.
Right, so one comes off of the civil service role.
Okay, and one is independent. So yours would be the civil service.
So that's not a pleasure.
So, how do you want to do the resolution? Well, we don't have a resolution yet, but, should we go? Should we get a
It's an
resolution?
agenda meeting, right?
Yeah, it's just something to think about.
Okay,
It's not a decision needs to be
Maybe we
made.
just have to see what the union,
The title is listed in the union.
It is, okay.
Yeah, it is.
Yep.
Okay, next thing here is reappoint Brittany Santarelli as the assessor.
The resolution up, let's do it.
All right,
That's on the screen.
6-year term, yes.
Ah,
All right. Any, is there a motion?
Is this,
I so move it.
I'll second.
Okay, any discussion?
yeah, so is this 6-year term something that is the law? Why is it a 6-year term?
I think that's.
Usually it's standard.
That's the
That is a standard that, all the assessors in the area have wanted to.
That is law. It's sole.
That's what I want to make sure.
6 year.
6 years.
So I
That
appointed
is
her
law.
6 years ago.
That was,
Five
that
years
was
ago.
changed when Mike's office was supervisor from elected official to sole appointed assessor.
For 6 years, right?
Full-time 6 years.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, the next thing here is a tax rate and tax certification. All right, and first of all, I just want to say that, we are going to be receiving $71,000 very shortly. It's been, I think, in the county legislator, and this is, money for, this is mortgage tax receipts. So we haven't gotten that yet. Wendy, I spoke to them.
Yeah, you said that. Yep, you said it was gonna be mailed on the
It's
17th.
being mailed on Thursday.
Yeah.
I'll go through. Okay. Also, from, Brittany there, there's a decrease in town taxes, in town tax rate, I should say, town tax rate, only because of the rebound. The rebound, increased a lot of, value in all assessment values, and the tax rate went down to offset that rebound. Okay?
Well, that's confusing. We just said the tax rate went up.
Well, no, 7%.
What
Yeah,
is it,
it's an
7%?
overall, so it's an overall town tax based on the county's. So ours went down based on last year's assessed for the county.
What does it do for the
That's
to
good.
the taxpayer? Anything?
Well, it definitely, in some cases, it will assist in lowering, obviously not our school tax, we know that, but your land tax, yes, it definitely will assist in that. However, based on whatever the assessment of the value of your home is, if it did go up significantly, then it might go up also. But the tax rate did go down based on 100%, which is also, the state looks at that as something where they actually award you. So that also helps you with your lower tax rate. So they want you to stay at 100%.
Okay, the next thing on here is, the Staggo property. And, what we're gonna do basically is, and I spoke to, Paul DeConos, that we have to do we have to schedule a public hearing on this, on the Staggo property to get it resolved more or less. And we're gonna do that in January. I just wanted to bring up because you mentioned about this. So we
Yeah,
it's
Mike
on-
was
it's on the
over here.
table. And probably, maybe like, first meeting in January, we'll schedule a public hearing for, in January. Okay, all right, next thing is the registrar discussion. Tracy?
So we discovered that some towns appoint all of the clerks, deputy clerks, as well as the regular clerk as registrar, so everybody can do everything. And I'd like to put that out there to all of you, whether you want to take in the budget, there's, I think, $250 for the registrar, split it 3 ways. I don't think it makes that much of a difference to whoever is collecting the funds. It's more about the ability to do the work, because if you have a registrar and then a deputy and a subordinate. The deputy and subordinate cannot do, there's like a 3-tier. So the deputy can do some things, not everything. The subordinate can do less. The reality is that when people want death certificates, they want death certificates. And if somebody's not there to sign everything, they get, or marriage licenses. So anyway, my recommendation is that you look to change the policy here and have all of the deputy clerks be full registrars.
Well, that makes sense, because they don't work together, so.
Correct.
Right, so if you don't have that, they'll all be. So the public can come in, there'll always be somebody that, that makes sense.
So if that's the case and the board agrees, I'll draft a resolution for the next meeting, so that way, Kathy and Stephanie can both file the paperwork and become registrars.
Okay, makes sense to me.
They've both been offered their, probation periods.
Yeah.
Right, we talked about.
Supposed to wait for 6 months.
Oh, no. Probation there.
No, probation of the work period.
Yes, they both have been here for, they've been here for.
I don't think we voted on, but it should be for the discussion.
Order. All right, planning board fees.
Yes, Karen wasn't here, I've got the numbers, but I'll give it to her, we'll do it in the next meeting.
Okay, we had a discussion, on the very first one, on the special use permit. You made it, I go to point up, John, about the value, I go here, it's $500.
I'm sorry.
It's it.
Right, we're gonna add about the, accessory apartments being $200.
Yeah, and I'd also like to see in this, that escrows will be provided on a monthly basis.
Well, it's
That's what it's supposed to be.
It's already
That's a
there.
part of the local law.
It's already there.
Already there.
It's just not being done.
Yes, a resolution approving the fees isn't going to add any significant.
We'll have this by, Diana,
Yes,
so,
yes,
by the next meeting.
yeah, I've got all the numbers, that were taken out for the, subdivision, we're gonna take out the snow lot amounts,
Okay. All right, so we'll discuss that.
yeah, sure. And I came in to see Samara, and she was.
Okay. All right, the next one is, the firefighters.
So I'm going to go on record as I am a volunteer firefighter, so I'm going to recuse myself from discussion.
You don't have a discussion.
Well, yeah, she definitely can vote, but in general, it's always a good idea to have someone step out when there's a discussion going on about it. Yeah, just. Because there is the implication that there may be undue influence if they are present.
Do we have the resolution impact?
No.
No, it's not gonna be voted. I believe it's just up for an initial discussion. So whoever's bringing it before the board may want to, just kind of discuss it with the board at this time.
This is actually the same level for our attention.
What kind of exemption we talking about?
I have to ask it because, there is a standard exemption they give, on this kind of thing. So I have to.
The percentage discount.
Yes, the property tax. Kind of account for, they're doing a service for the community, so therefore they get a certain percentage, they pay less of property taxes.
But we don't know what that percentage is.
I checked. I was talking about business line.
So it's a lot of it's based on different municipalities, each one is a little differently based on the credits that each firefighter utilizes during the services. And one of the things we should look into is, I'm almost 90% sure Ontario School District participates in this. I'm not sure about Kingston School District, so that's something that we would want to look into. Because you could potentially do this all in one, rather than just do the town and then go back to the school. You can definitely do town and then Roundup or Onteora, but I think we would want to potentially try to do all the school district and town at the same time. It would just,
Call Kingston to support this as well.
yeah, and it would be very good for us to sit. The difference is, other than this, well, Ulster's part, volunteer part paid, Kingston is fully paid. So you still have the Sopus, you still have parts of Woodstock, Early that are in the Kingston School District, so we would want to make sure that they maybe would, be in on this as well.
Rosendale and Marble
Right.
Town and all those.
Yeah, but touch on the Kingston School District. I do have information on that for the,
Okay.
I would work with whoever needs.
All right,
to sit on this.
okay.
Town of Rochester just passed it, so I can sit down with them and work with them.
I mean, what's that?
Oh, hold on. One second.
Okay. All right, so, okay, we get that. The next one, a memorandum of agreement with the UPSEU for gas station booth.
You want to hold that back here?
Deb. So what?
You wanna
Oh,
hold
Deb.
that back here?
Hey, Deb?
Can't hear you.
Debbie.
She was watching a movie or something.
As the world turns.
So we voted you out. Memorandum of agreement with the UPSEU for transit station. booth.
So move.
Closing. Hang on a second, hold on. Well, we stopped, we postponed this until Gregory was here. All right, so what it is, Gregory, that in the contract, it is actually paid for 325. This year they got 650, 625 and so forth. I pointed this out to Mike, because he's saying like, is this correct? And he said it was a mistake.
It was a mistake, but Mike said that he knew that it's, because the guys are going to be happy, but that's my mistake.
Well, my feeling on the bullets, so move. Anyone second?
I second.
Okay, discussion. I feel that the guys at the transfer station are outside all day, every day. Like the guys on the highway, at least at times, are getting in warm trucks to ride, where the guys at the transfer station, that is not the case. So I think we should be getting them at least the same
Absolutely.
amount of money for
Yeah, I can't,
clothing and food.
I can't argue against, you know, kind of changing these numbers for, yeah, I mean, they're
And-
doing this work outside.
Right,
anyway.
and don't forget the requirement is you have to purchase them from Kenco as well. Well, right, isn't that what we discussed?
Yes.
So then the costs are even higher. You know, so it's not like they can order them off by Amazon or
You
something.
can
and
change
save the
that
money.
as a board. They don't, we can open it up so they can
But,
purchase
but
it.
I like I'd like to buy local.
Yeah,
I like
I'm okay
supporting
with
the
that
local
too,
person.
but.
Yeah, and it's very good quality stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye. Any opposed?
So move. Schools passed, yes.
Open jurisdictional hazard.
This was passed.
Whatever the highway is.
Yeah,
Okay, so we're now, wait, hold on a second, hold on. The highway's a little different. Highway, in 2025, we get 725.
All right, so then what,
what, you know, something, I apologize. Let's deal with this resolution a little bit more carefully, because this resolution doesn't spell out all of these details.
Well, we have the memorandum.
It
It
says the
doesn't-
maximum.
it doesn't say-
Let's go to the memorandum.
no, it says it's modified to match the.
The
Highway,
highway,
the highway, so if they get 725 next year.
All right,
they
so
can- they
the
can-
memorandum says 625, so.
So does it say the memorandum or does it say it's on the highway?
So fix the memorandum and sign it.
As negotiate a memorandum.
so what if the memorandum is done?
The memorandum is in your package from last time.
Right. So this is 650.
That's not what,
So
that's not what
the
it says.
resolution, so the resolution needs to be amended.
The resolution states the highway department, not the memorandum.
What is negotiated, no, it says negotiated memorandum, wait,
Next one.
Yeah, but then
is
it
that
says provide that it be modified to match the highway.
it? Whereas,
So I would strike that line.
it says whereas the MOA provides the code that will be modified to match the highway.
So that's, so all you have to do
So
is
you're-
strike that second whereas, the third whereas, right?
Or
Well,
strike
what
the
does it
second
say?
one.
It says,
Yeah,
it says the MOA will be modified.
I would rather just keep it
So whatever
along
says
with
in
the
it-
highway, so it's.
What is the MOA?
Yeah, exactly.
It says that the
Yeah,
MOA
but this,
will be modified. to
but
match the
wasn't the highway
That's already-
department,
Change it.
this is what the highway department is? And that's what the MOA seems to imply, is that the highway department is 625 this year, 650 for next year.
Except it's I get like seven and a quarter, 750. The boot allowance for the highway
No,
department.
you guys negotiated it, not me.
Well, this is for the highway department.
This is for the transfer
I
station.
mean, yeah, we're dealing with.
He still didn't negotiate it. Though.
Right, but he's saying he doesn't
He
know.
he
who
didn't
it is.
negotiate it, is what he's
He didn't
saying.
negotiate.
He doesn't know the negotiation.
On the highway department?
Yeah, he doesn't.
Well, you guys are adopting this that reflects that it's the same as the highway department.
Right,
closed easement.
So then this is fine.
Okay. Let's move on to the next one.
Transfer station holiday schedule discussion. All right, now, at the last town board meeting, I think Diana brought this up about the fact that if a holiday's on Monday, the transfer station gets on Tuesday. And we kind of said that means that the transfer station will be closed 3 days in a row, Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. And we said that we had to give them a floating holiday. Like on Tuesday, if you go out. So I finally spoke to Javier, and they don't like that idea because they don't take anything, they don't take days off at all. And if you don't use a floating holiday, by the end of the year, you lose it. They said that they would like to get paid if you give them a floating holiday. If they don't use it, they get paid. Otherwise, they want it.
But here's the thing, it's in the, it was in the, employee handbook that we have the right to tell them that they have to be over on the holiday. And it's up to Javier to work that out. It's not their decision to do it, it's our decision,
All right,
whether we want it to be done, it's his decision and how they're gonna do it.
but that's why it was up here.
But so, you know, why can't they take a floating holiday? They'll just take
Well,
a day.
they wanted paid.
No, they prefer not to take a floating holiday. And instead, they will come in on Tuesday after holiday Monday, but they want to get paid that floating holiday. In other words, at the end of the year.
So they wanna get paid double time to be working on Tuesday, is what you're saying. They're gonna work it, they're gonna get a holiday pay and they wanna get
And
paid.
address in the collective bargaining.
Not at all.
What this, collective bargaining agreement is with regard to holidays
I mean,
station.
We did talk about the bargaining because that's where we found out that it was in our employee handbook already, that we have the discretion to say they could be open, and I think that's why it has to be a floating holiday. They're allowed 11 holidays, so we can't take a holiday away from them. But we can have them work it and vote something else.
The collective bargaining agreement that I looked at, yesterday with you says that if a holiday is scheduled on a day that you would not be working, you need to take the day before or the day after. It doesn't talk about giving you floating.
The collective bargaining agreement, unless you guys do a separate memorandum of understanding, is what is going to be controlling when it comes to this issue. And I recommend that before you guys decide to change anything else in the collective bargaining agreement, you take some time to think about it, to consider all the options. But right now, you know, the collective bargaining agreement will be renegotiated again when the term is over. And these are all things that can be changed. But right now, you guys just adopted a collective bargaining agreement. You just ratified it. Those are the terms.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense to be switching all these terms.
Yeah.
I would prefer to follow council's advice and let that be,
If you just
our
want to,
agreement in its entirety.
It keeps it, in other words, Monday holiday, Tuesday off.
so we also, the discussion of this is also the fact that based on their religion, they don't take holidays off. They don't have holidays. So you have to address that verbiage to them when you're talking about taking a holiday.
Taking a day off.
Correct. Might be a communication there.
So let's just leave it the way it is.
but there's nothing we can do about it until we go back to renegotiate.
That's the
So
next.
you could have some of them taking off the Saturday and some of them taking off the Tuesday. You don't necessarily have to close the operation for the day.
Oh, but that's what it's. Okay.
I can take a day before or the day after. So let's just wait it because,
Well, let's have the languages in the contract, so we should think that they do that.
here's the thing also, the contract we had is only to 2025.
Correct.
So we have
Another
sorry,
option.
2024.
No.
No,
You could go to
2025
yeah, right.
I'd just like to say that with the way it is now, we see more garbage that we're picking up on the side of the road.
They're closed.
Right. So if we already, if that contract gives us the ability to say, take the day before, it's not the day after, then we should have them do that.
Or some of them take.
Right.
Is that what the says in the?
I believe what I read last night.
Because it is a problem, people go up anyway, and they leave the trash at that gate. That's the problem. That's the only reason this is an issue, is because people don't realize they're closed on a Tuesday, and you've already gone up there, and they're just dropping that garbage.
I reported it years ago and Tim took care of it and that person was fine.
Yeah.
So,
They have their favorite spots. They have Eastman Road, they have the end of Doug Hill by the old dump fence. They have that piece of property where the boat is on Doug Hill. One with the camera.
So, if we have the ability, we want to make sure that that shelter is not closed 3 days in a row.
And I'll talk to them.
It's only because of that. It's not, we don't want them to have a holiday or whatever, just because
Okay.
you can't have it closed. Right, 'cause remember, back in the day, they were not closed on Mondays. They changed that. So that's where this becomes a problem, by closing Monday, every holiday is a Monday.
All right, the next thing is, now I have to get this clarified. You guys had a discussion. You said that you, in October of 2024, you would, open negotiations for 2025.
Is that right?
That's
for the
what
highway.
No, that was for the, town employees here also,
It was just for any increase for the next year,
for 2025.
Right.
But you said you're gonna open up discussions.
in October, which is passed, so.
Right,
Yes.
right. That doesn't mean that.
It had to be October. It was
Why?
October 10th. That's what the negotiation was, October 2000.
Well, the only reason why, we didn't ever pass a contract, we had to vote on the contract until sometime in November.
Correct.
Okay.
So we bypassed that, October. So we are going to do negotiations for, 2025 rate increase.
Well, based on the discussion we just had a while ago, clearly we need to go back. to this contract. And
Well,
so,
this is for pay increase, not for the contract, but I thought we already
You
had.
guys, there's a pay schedule for 2025 in the collective bargaining agreement.
Right.
I don't see any reason why you guys should be looking to renegotiate after you just adopted it a month ago.
Right. That is what we had said.
Right, right.
That's what we had said, that we were not.
So you guys
as a
will
board, we
start
said we were going-
negotiations for the next term, which begins in 2026.
Right.
And you guys can discuss that, but I do not see any reason, since you adopted a pay schedule that not only includes this past year, 2024, but also 2025. That's been negotiated, it's been adopted. And
That was what we
no
had
reason for
discussed
you guys
as a
to
board.
renegotiate.
that we were not going to.
Right, we wanted to.
Right, it was a big increase that we just gave everybody.
Right. I was gonna say for 24 and 25.
Right.
Right. All right, I'm just saying that it's in the, contract, it says open negotiations October 2024. All right, my concern is that, all right, well, this was brought up on my quiz. And the question was, if you do any kind of negotiations with them, do you involve him or do you involve all the files?
Well, why would we involve somebody who hadn't been part of it? Well, what was the advantage of one or the other?
Roman Rollins.
What is the purpose of discussing this now if the negotiations are going to occur in
October.
October of next year?
yeah,
Okay.
Maybe at earliest August,
Okay.
July, you guys can see how things are going, and then you guys can discuss.
Well, I'm just concerned because.
Mike, you don't want to go there.
No, I know, but I'm saying, I'm just concerned the fact that in the contract, it says October 2024 for negotiations. That's
We
what,
didn't sign it until November.
I understand that, but I'm just saying now that, it was there. For the contract, I think it's there. So, you know, all
While
right,
you're on this topic, I'd like to urge this board to audit moving forward into next year, the number of consultants you're using and outside agencies like Rover Wallens, which we pay, how much a month?
$1,200.
$1,200 a month stipend to for dubious amount of work.
And includes negotiations on collective bargaining agreements.
Which you paid Mike Richardson to do. So I would urge fiduciary caution on the board.
So these are all good things to
And while
discuss.
I'm saying that too,
Next year.
I found a voucher for a copy machine bill with over 6,700 color copies made at 10 cents a copy in the last 3 months.
No, that's not.
last month.
That was in the last 3 months. The meter read says 3 months.
Welcome to the, having the copier open without a scan card. I've said it 100 times.
There's no. Yeah, if you look here, it says during the period, this is, okay, over the base period of, this is the rental machine, is 5273. Everybody can't talk at the same time here. Black and white copies, you made you made a total of 18,459 black and white copies between 9/1 of 24 and 11/30 of 24.
But Tim, hold on, Tim. I mean,
And then you made an additional 6,391 color copies at 10.5 cents a copy for an additional $674.12.
how is this related to the active business?
Well, fiduciary function. It's an agenda meeting.
Duly noted.
It's an agenda. When was it?
We're putting up that there.
Okay. The next one is the adoption of the Ulster County Hazard Mitigation Plan. It's a resolution. The next one.
Well, I mean, everybody, it was sent out in October and it was resent. Have you guys taken a look at that? We really have to take a look at it and decide, because if we don't adopt it and disaster happens, we could be not eligible for some FEMA funding.
Yeah, so the FEMA funding, which goes to the county, would not be eligible for unless we had adopted this plan.
So
I recommend that the board adopt this plan.
So moved.
and even if we want to modify it, I talked to Mike Madison about that, we can modify it once we approve it.
And by the way, the towns around.
I've already adopted it.
Adopted.
Okay, Tim and Diana.
Okay.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye. Okay, so this, there's specific instructions what you have to do with this resolution. It has to get to the county. It's in that email.
All right, and, right, reminder that the next meeting at 12:30 and 1/7 is the reorganization meeting. And it's here at town. Do we want to do public comment first before we do the public hearing?
No,
Yeah.
simple call.
Right, we're going to a public comment.
It's the second one.
We have a hearing.
There's only 4 of them here.
Oh,
We're not gonna have anybody.
well, let's
Everybody
do
already
it.
spoke.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's go, let's go.
I make a motion to open public comment number 2. Second, all right, discussion, no discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so passed. You guys want to speak? I make a motion to close public hearing.
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
I make a motion to open the public hearing.
I'll open the hearing. And I can, and this is on,
Should we open before we vote?
yeah, you would do a motion to open the
Sorry,
hearing.
open the hearing.
Let me just,
Understand.
chapter 19 hearing on the application of, the planning board application of Marie Schultz.
I second.
Wait, I apologize, sorry. We were trying to.
Yeah, I was.
I'm sorry, forget that. Yeah,
Yeah,
we're gonna have to, we have to close it.
Or withdraw your
Withdraw the motion, open up a public hearing. We have one more resolution that we have to resolve. Right? I withdraw my motion.
Somebody make a motion to,
Accept the motion.
somebody make a motion.
Motion to accept the resolution presented to accept old Route 375 into the town highway inventory.
Somebody second.
Second.
Any discussion?
All in favor?
The only thing that I'd like to include in this resolution is the formal resolution where this is coming from 2021, which is that one. So that it's not, the reason why this resolution is being called is because of that resolution.
Right.
So we need to have a record or a reference to that resolution in this stuff, in this.
I didn't draft this and I haven't seen it and nobody's asked me about it.
That's
so-
fine. I just.
So then I
that's
would-
my comment.
So then let's table it unless there's a reason you need to adopt this tonight.
We don't have a lot of time to table because we're gonna get the form into DOT.
This came from Mike Schultz. This is
So it
exactly,
appears that a resolution was passed back in 2021.
November 21.
Yes, and basically, although it was approved, it was never, I guess, filed with DOT. They don't have it on file. So it needs to be, if you guys want to consider, basically, this is a portion that is 465 feet in length of road that the town has been maintaining since 1985. However, it's not being accounted for when we get our funding for the roads. They take into account the entirety of all the roads that we are basically caring for and that we have legal responsibility for. This hasn't been taken into account, so this is to add this 465 foot section to the list of roads that the DOT has. Now, when it's given funding.
So, Matt,
Yes.
how would we just include that resolution in this? Will it be in
Can
that
we
just
second
amend this to
whereas?
refer to it?
You can reference, you can also add a whereas,
2021 dash.
November 3rd.
yeah, resolution 2021-187 was previously passed, but never filed with the Department of Transportation.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. You want to add that?
You want me to add that?
Yes.
Okay, I apologize. I have my reading glasses on, so I can't see anything.
November 3rd, 2021. Resolution was passed. That notice will receive.
11/23.
11/3/2021.
2021.
It's passed
Unanimously?
unanimously.
Yes, all voted aye.
Was. Submitted.
Okay,
And so I'm adding this after the third whereas.
Yes.
Okay?
So,
thank you.
Okay.
so we need to motion to accept the resolution as amended.
Kim, Deb? Yes?
Yes.
Deb? Yes, okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Now we're back on fifth.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, now we're back to, I make a motion to open public hearing, Schultz, planning board, escrow.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
Is anyone present to speak at the public hearing?
Would you like me to read the statement I have from the surveyor?
You can
what-
provide whatever
what is the-
additional speaking or information you want to provide to the board. And I can go over the board.
Hi, I gave you each, I was just informed on Friday that they had given 8 pages of, I don't even, explanation apparently, so, I put together this to answer each of those, if you all wanna. I don't know if I need to read that whole thing, or,
Now, has that been previously provided?
I provided it to all of you when I got here. So it's stapled and it's about 5 pages, it starts with A. But Colin, unfortunately, is home with 102 fever, huddled under his bed, and he typed in notes for me, what I had also handed out to you, which I'll read. I've been representing clients in front of the planning board for over 30 years, and in all the time, I've never had a case that ended with a surprise bill. Towns are very upfront about fees. It's fairly common to establish an escrow account for a subdivision application to cover whatever kind of outside expert review might be called for. Never in all those years have I ever had a case proceed to another meeting while we were running at a deficit in the escrow account. The account always needs to be replenished before the application will be heard again. I could almost see it happening if we were talking about a few dollars, but we're talking about over $8,000. So it's kind of hard to embrace the idea that this was a mere oversight. It's just so exponentially out of the ordinary that I'm kind of speechless on the subject. What I can say is that on a rare occasion, when one of my cases has eclipsed the initial escrow, the first thing I do is meet with my client to reevaluate our strategy.
If the bills coming in are from a town attorney, I would suggest my client hire their own attorney, their own lawyer, and possibly even retain that lawyer to represent at future planning board meetings if that seemed prudent. Unfortunately, Marie Schultes and I never had the opportunity to consider our options because the state of the escrow was never shared with us, and until the case was approved, pending payment of the escrow deficit. The town planning board didn't follow the town's own code in keeping the applicant up to date with regard to escrow, and that failure denied the applicant access to information that the planning board was legally required to share. It seems fair to me that the town should accept the initial escrow paid with the application as payment in full and direct the planning board to sign the maps. Colin Houston.
There is, we also have in the package here, section 19.4.
Yeah. So,
19.4,
so basically this hearing, well, first of all, is there anyone else here to, speak on this hearing? Anyone else?
Can't help myself. As you know, that I put a complaint in on some of the social media posts that were posted. If this is not retribution, I mean, these two clearly state that there's animosity that they have towards me for being who I am. And I think that it's just unjust what they're doing. And they're trying to hide behind their authority. And it's, they didn't follow their own protocol, the rules set up by the town. I'll shut up.
Is the board taking into consideration all the rest of the information we gave at the entire time that I was here? So I don't have to go over that again. Like, okay.
And
Of course.
one thing I just wanted to note was that the 8-page report that they submitted that was filled with so many inaccuracies. We never did a 5-lot subdivision. We did a simple 3-lot subdivision. We got tied up in court for 15 years because the property that we bought originally was owned by William Bernier in 1898, who was the mayor of Kingston. And he used to dump bottles up there to bring them up from the,
Okay, can we stick to the story?
so that property sat vacant. It was bought on tax sale. People encroached on it. When we bought it, it was surveyed before we bought it. And we had 2 encroachments and people held us up in court. We won both cases. And that's why the subdivision didn't go through until 2005, but we started that subdivision back in 1989.
Matt, I apologize, but you referenced another document. I don't have anything that's beyond what Marie put on the table.
There's a.
Oh, okay, sorry, I just wasn't sure if you.
And then the letters from the building inspector on the onset, and then 2 months later.
So we'll make a list at some point.
That's
as
why
to
I'm-
everything that is referenced and.
As highway superintendent, I can tell you, we have private roads all over town that are longer than 1,200 foot. So this 1,200 foot limit is just self-imposed by the regulations, just need to be amended because we have many lots in this town that are narrow, long lots that go on the Hurley Patton T Woods that Paul can tell you that the only way. Bluestone Ridge is how long is Bluestone Ridge? 2 miles?
Yeah, it's miles, yeah.
You know, I mean, I don't know that realistically, the logistics of the situation are really, it sounds like they've reached approval and we're really just at a dispute over the fees.
Yep.
And the fact that during the time of the application, there was no update whatsoever on the billing. I don't think that there's any dispute of that. So I don't know if we need to close the hearing and then make a decision, but my recommendation would be, I wish we could hold the planning board and the secretary of the planning board accountable for their actions, because basically they've made it so that, we're gonna have to, the taxpayers really have to eat this. Because I don't see asking them for more money when it's a surprise bill. That's great.
No. If the,
There was no.
One of the things in
Matt, you want to,
You want me to just give you a brief overview? So right now, this hearing is pursuant to chapter 19. Okay, chapter 19 outlines, what the requirements are for charging escrows and for professional consulting fees. Basically, although, you know, what the considerations the planning board looked at with the different laws and different rules with the application, those things are some things that you consider just when looking at the professional fees and whether they were reasonable and necessary for the application. But ultimately, it's going to come down to you reviewing, you know, whether the planning board, you know, the fees that were charged, one, were reasonable and necessary for the application. So going through some of the bills and seeing, you know, whether these things are, and two, which seems, and Tim already alluded to, is whether they actually followed the procedural requirements.
1940.
Yes, so there are specific requirements, you know, when we're going to make an applicant pay for services that we're contracted for. And these requirements are, you know, in fairness and are, you know, in the statute itself, you know, it definitely, they allude to, under the intent that, you know, that if we're going to be charging applicants, and there should be a procedure required, in order to do that. So under the statute, you guys should be looking at, you know, all of these requirements. I did a brief outline as to some of the things procedurally that should be considered. It's not exhaustive. You should look at the entire statute. There are other things that might be relevant considerations as well. And then when you are done reviewing the evidence that's before you, everything that's been submitted, and we should make a record as to everything that the board is reviewing and coming to its determination. You can then be empowered to basically do things under the statute. They all are solely related to the escrow fee. Okay. So any actions you take after reviewing this are only related to the escrow fees. Some of the allegations involved, you guys can look at in other senses and can be addressed through other courses of action outside of this hearing. But for the purposes of this hearing, you're just addressing the escrow. Does anyone have any general questions?
Well, general question here is, should we come up with,
We should come out of the public
Public
hearing
hearing.
and then do the
to
discussion, right?
discuss this, because I don't think,
If there's no one
Unless
else,
anybody else is
I would just say the only other, if there's no one else here.
I'm gonna speak.
He wants to speak forward.
Dan?
Yes.
Yeah. Please.
Like to say good evening to the town board. And I'd like to preface my remarks that anything I say is not to disparage the planning board. They're uncompensated volunteers that work hard for the betterment of the town, and I recognize that. So that said, there were quite a number of discussions that the planning board had relative to in-town law 280A. I'm not sure why that came about, why that was even an issue. And the reason being is 280A deals with unmapped subdivision and the issuance of building permits. This is a mapped subdivision, as their own minutes and commentary provided in 2005. The subdivision was approved. I was actually at all of those meetings, and I was instrumental in the discussions for the approval of the subdivision. That did include a very precise and well-written road maintenance agreement approved by Jack Darwalk, who, as we all know, was overly cautious regarding road maintenance agreements, and he did approve it after several reviews and revisions. So that said, if there were consultant bills that were submitted relative to the 280A, I don't feel that's appropriate. $8,000 in consultants fees, given the scope and scale of the project, in my opinion, is very excessive. I'm not speaking from the outside. I've attended more town of Hurley planning board meetings than probably everyone on the board, with the exception of Carl Bruckner. And I've attended over 200 planning board meetings. I've yet to see a subdivision this small, this minor scale and scope with that amount of fees, even given our somewhat onerous fee schedule. That said, also, there is 100%, I have attended meetings where subdivision, length of subdivision roads, the 1,200 foot was waived. For whatever considerations, it does not require a variance from the zoning board of appeals. Planning board has the right by statute to waive that, and it has been done. I don't want to say frequently, but it's not uncommon. These are considerations I just asked the board to take under consideration when you're making your determination. Thank you.
Anybody else? All right, I make a motion to close.
Well, just before you close the public hearing, just keep in mind, once you close the public hearing, like if you guys want to, accept any other submissions, or if you guys, want to hear from anyone else from the planning board at some point. I know the planning board did do their submissions. If you're satisfied that is enough information from the planning board, that's fine. But if you are intending to receive any other submissions, you want to address that before you close the hearing. Once you close the hearing, no new information, only the information that has been submitted should be sent.
If we don't close the hearing, can we still, just the discussions and
You guys can
agree,
discuss it.
make a decision? Or we have to keep it open?
Is there,
I think we can do, I mean.
you can discuss it regardless.
Yeah, I think. we can
Ryan,
close-
can we make a decision?
I think we can close
You
it.
can't make a decision if you're going to accept it.
Let's close it.
Yes, that's close. I mean, it's-
Well, we have the response from the planning board, right?
Yeah, well, maybe summarize that response. That might be an important bit, so that the public is aware of what they
So
are
let's,
articulating.
you want me to read that? Well, it does appear the planning board did send a memo dated December 2nd, 2024 regarding this matter. And basically stating that they understand the public hearing is being held to discuss and review the escrow bills in relation to this process and to determine if they're necessary and appropriate for the review that occurred. And then they outline a timeline and history of the application that is approximately 8 pages long. Is the entire board in possession of this?
Yes.
Have you had an opportunity to review this?
Yes.
This is part of the record here
Yes.
for this hearing.
Yes.
In addition to this, there were several attachments that were provided. I believe it was provided to the board via email, the memo with all the attachments from the planning board.
Yes.
62 pages.
Yes.
And that is all part of the record for this hearing.
Yes.
What other documents is the board?
We want to
having
include
their
your
possession?
memorandum.
Okay.
And we have Marie's.
Yes, so there was a memorandum provided by myself, the town attorney, dated December 10th. That is part of the record as well.
Which also included, a copy of chapter 19, that's for the consultant fees.
And a reference to the planning board's memorandum. as well.
You included that attachment again. 17 megabytes.
Was this, the other document was the statement, the letter from, Paul Thomas.
Dated March 27th.
Correct, yeah.
2024.
Is that included? That,
If that is something that the planning board reviewed, we want to
Yep.
make sure that,
that's in
it's
the,
all on the record.
Can you give me the date on that?
March 27th, 2024.
Right, Marie provided information last time as well. Gave us,
Did you need that?
so we'll be,
No, this is,
it would be, this,
the other,
everything first.
the other document that needs to be included in the record is the email from Maggie Cohen, clerk of the planning zone, which was sent out on Tuesday, December the 10th, at 12:56 PM, outlining whether or not they could produce invoices for the escrow bill.
When did you get that?
This was sent out this morning, today.
Who is invoices?
Sorry?
They provided me invoices, but so they should already have them.
That's-
So
There's invoices.
there are some invoices, the question, there's another question about the invoices. And in this document was in response to Councilman Kelly's request for information from the planning board about the accounts.
I wrote an
About
email.
escrow. So this document needs to be included in that.
Subsequent change, right?
Yeah.
Should I ask, I wrote, please show me where the monthly invoices that were presented to the applicants as this application are located. You email sent to the applicant for invoices / statements that went out showing how the scope progressed. Their claim is specific to the fact that they were presented with monthly invoices and were presented with a large bill over 7 months later with no communication or update as to the amounts that have been charged to their account. And we were basically told, no, they can't do that.
And so
In a very
What do you
long,
mean that the planning board can't provide?
planning board cannot
they didn't
provide
do that.
the invoice to justify this bill.
So, so how do they figure out the?
The invoices are there.
So are they
They're
not
on
itemized?
they're on
The
the-
invoices are not itemized. If you read
Yes, they are.
per document,
No, I'm talking about the
She's basically saying
invoice
she
that
can't
was presented
provide-
to the
Right,
You
applicant
can't provide any documentation saying.
That the
An invoice-
applicant was presented. The
on a
invoices
monthly
were
basis.
presented
This
to
is
the
how much we
applicant.
spent on consultants. You're.
so the Schultzes did not receive that,
I know.
right?
But the board is in possession of the
We are in
invoices
possession
that
of
were provided,
Correct.
for fees. I know when I reviewed them, there were actually 2 invoices that were referenced that I couldn't seem to find. One was an invoice from Brandon Lyons, invoice number 20860. I don't know if you guys have that.
No, what Matt has.
What was it? 209 what?
20860. And I
I do have it. For $800.
Yeah, I saw the
None of
I
you
saw the
actually have
880.
the invoice itself.
The invoice on the drive.
I believe the only invoices I have based on planning board for Schultz are NPV. Lines will be drafted, I believe, on Thursday. I believe Maggie has those.
Well, I know there were some that were shared on the shared drive,
They
and I
are.
printed off all of them.
Okay.
And then there was one from. Ones that are not
Yep. And they did not. They're still just.
But the board members have reviewed those invoices.
I did.
See,
I did. So are you just missing the description, like, for the?
No,
Okay.
it's, I think,
And can I just also make one more point that, I had initially had a lawyer to help me look over everything that I'm not having right now. But he pointed out that the letter from Paul that they requested on March 7th was enough to do the subdivision. So they not only are trying to charge this money, they've helped me out for 10 months. My daughter could have been in her house already, and it's been a huge hardship for our family. Because we, going in, thought it would take 2 months and she'd be getting her house out. And here we are now in this winter, and we're gonna be challenged with the weather and everything else. It's just, been real.
so can I ask?
Yes.
Did you request vouchers from the planning board?
When I came in to pay for my permit, I was never told there was gonna be any more bills at all, period. So I didn't even know that there was, and I was shocked to even receive these at all.
So no.
So
you
no,
did
they
not
didn't,
request.
no. And I did point out to the board that I did find in my research after that there's a checklist that says what happens when you get a permit. I was never provided that, and if I was, I would have been educated to know the process, because I thought I own property here. I had to pay like $1,500 as it was for my own property just to be able to build on it. So I just, for me, I know I'm a lay person. I'm not like in the whole
So-
picture, but
So I think I'm actually done with this. You can go deliberate for however.
All right, are there any other documents that the board wants to, make clear in the record that they reviewed and, in their determination?
Yeah, I mean, basically, just you've already said it, but specifically, under the statutory, in your memorandum, Matt, the statutory requirements for charging escrow fees, the reason I'm gonna arrive at the conclusion I'm gonna arrive at is part 5 there, whether the planning board remitted to the applicant a summary of the escrow charges and balance on a monthly basis.
Yep.
Part 19-14. That's
Correct.
That's where my decision will be totally based upon that, and we can
Right.
deliberate once we've closed the public hearing. I can explain why my suggestion for how we resolve this is what it is. Motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? And hearing is closed.
Yeah. Might we need to take charge of him before it goes off.
Yeah. So basically what we're doing, what I want to do right now is we want to do a discussion about what we think should be done. We close the public hearing. So I think now we should discuss, since it's closed, we can make a recommendation. I just want to add my comment to this thing here. I've been talking to Paul Connos, and he educated me on what 280A is. And the thing that always bothers me a lot about it is that what Karen and Paul talked about in their research, 280A case, you're absolutely right. If it happens to be a map subdivision, 280A is not necessary. Now, the thing is,
That's not the issue.
no, I know, I'm just saying, so what's happened basically is that the lawyers should have known about 288, and they also referenced back in 2005 that, it was subdivided.
I would just like to, so we have a statute pursuant to this, so let's look at the criteria in chapter 19. That is the authority for this hearing, and it outlines the powers that you have. So what the legal ramifications or what the lawyers, these are all things that can be addressed in other venues. But right now, what you are addressing strictly is the escrow fees. So,
But Mike's comment addresses the fact that they're not, because they were looking at things that they shouldn't have been looking at, and they shouldn't have had to spend the money on. So it is related
well,
to the fees.
if that is,
No.
Like, break, so.
It's really.
So, you know, it's being recorded. Oh, okay.
But sorry. Go ahead.
No, what I'm saying is that.
well, I would just say, if I were you, make sure if you're going to come to any legal conclusions with regard to what a statute may or may not say, that you understand what legal conclusions you're making. Okay? And we definitely want you to outline what, what you think is reasonable, what isn't reasonable, if that's what you're going to base your decision on, if you're going to base your decision on more procedural requirements, as you want to discuss those. But, I think you definitely need to make a record clear so that if any decisions that the board makes are challenged, they are based soundly on the criteria in the statute and not on other criteria that would be better addressed in other venues.
Okay, all right. So my suggestion is, although I do find that, likely we could probably delve into the fact that maybe the fees that were charged were, in excess of what should have been charged. I think ultimately the fact that they were never told about any of the fees that were being charged just leads, my feeling is that they should just be told, you've paid the cost you're paying, and that's the end of this.
And I would agree with that. I mean, if they have no remedy if they don't have the escrow bills. And so how are you going to justify a bill when They can't even say, well, in January, we got this bill and we contested it. They haven't had the opportunity to contest it. So I think I'm holding very closely to what Matt is saying, staying very, very close to where the problem is and what we need to address. And it's around whether or not they got an escrow bill on a monthly basis, which as per 94G is a requirement of the planning board. If the planning board didn't provide that document or those invoices to them, I mean, I don't know, where do we go from here? I mean,
I would like to just make a ruling that they paid 500, that's their fee, and that's the end of it. I'd like to, they paid 500, correct? Into the escrow,
Three checks. I don't know what the other,
whatever they've
500.
already paid,
yeah, 19.
whatever the amount currently paid up is, to be sufficient, deemed sufficient, and then we just, unfortunately, we have to, and that we reprimand the planning board and the clerk of the planning board for this.
1,900
Not being-
plus the 7,000.
No, we paid 1,900 upfront in 3 checks, and that's all I was told we had to pay. I didn't
So
know.
that amount.
But let's distinguish, that wasn't all paid escrow. That was, part of that was application
It was
fees.
3 different checks, yes.
But there were application fees and other things, not the escrow.
I thought I read that it was 500.
I was, I
Yeah,
gave it all to
500.
the planning board secretary.
The
She
planning
made
board-
me write it in 3 different checks. I
The
wasn't
planning
sure
board
why.
files
To the
that
same
were
people.
provided via the link, show that there was one initial escrow check that was made out, the amount of $500 back in, March 13th.
Great.
Okay, I did not find any other, records showing that there were any other payments or any notices sent out until the October 31st letter that was sent to the applicant, outlining all the escrow.
Which is 6 months later. So 6 plus months.
Is there any
About-
specific format we need to make the determination in?
Well, it's always
Like the zoning
prudent to have something in writing right now. So if you want to, discuss exactly, what the basis, like I understand Tim right now has discussed, basically, the fact that, subsection G of 19-4 was not followed. There were no, notices being sent out on a monthly basis. That would be the basis for reducing the fees consistent with the statute.
Right, so we could just write up exactly what this says, right? That this is what, per the code, is supposed to happen, it did not happen.
Yeah, so let's go back to, my memo. It outlines what the code says your hours are on the conclusion of the hearing. And your hours basically.
Thank you. -4G states that the agency shall remit to the applicant a summary of the escrow charges and balance on a monthly basis. So I'd like to say that somebody wants to write this down, whereas the town board finds that the planning board, in violation of 19-4 subsection G, did not remit to the applicant a summary of the escrow charges and balance on a monthly basis. The town board of the town of Hurley hereby finds that the escrow amount be reduced to that was initially provided
It's sufficient.
to be deemed sufficient amount, in total $500.
Debbie?
No, that's.
Before you do a motion, let me just.
Matt,
Yeah,
can I make one recommendation at least? One is if there is no, I mean, when you have an application, somebody submits right now, fire code. Somebody submits $500 and it's held to be used in the event that escrow is applied. However, if no escrow is applied, I don't believe that, anybody should, the planning board should not be in a position of having to provide monthly invoice statements when there are no charges against the escrows.
But
And you have to
there's
be,
charges against.
well, no, I'm just saying, I'm not talking, I'm talking about just, you know, you're looking. at how-
Well, they
how
shouldn't
you're
keep
looking
writing
at-
a $0 bill to them, saying you're still at 500. If the thing is running for.
I think I understand what you're saying, Chrissy, but the question comes back to us. Were they provided a bill?
No, I'm not, sorry, I am not at all, I'm giving Matt 30 seconds and I'm having this, just giving him a little break to think about how he's gonna apply it, and then I'm just talking philosophically with you, that you could have potentially 30 files, let's just say, that are hanging out there and are in different phases.
Yep.
They may, you know, and
Open
theoretically,
applicants should get a statement every month.
I'm just saying, open applicants might not necessarily need to get a statement if there have been no changes to the.
They should get a notification that there are.
Okay,
no
well,
lines.
I'm making a statement. It's gonna be a board, I mean, the board should theoretically at some point establish a policy of what you want to do.
It's
and how you-
established in the law.
I am just saying, and I'm giving that 30 seconds, don't break into laughter. 30 seconds to like focus on his thing and just say that, yes. I do believe that if somebody has a bill and an invoice, and at the same time, we also have to, as a town, or you guys have to, because I'm gonna be on it, you have to hold your consultants accountable to provide you on a timely basis those invoices. And the problem that you're going
Who
to,
has to do that?
the town, whether it's the planning
Town
board.
board or the plan board?
Well, I'm just sort of talking you through the process, because understand that if you don't get a bill timely from your consultants, you have nothing to provide to the applicant. So take this, I'm not at all disagreeing with any of your decisions. I personally almost think that they should pay absolutely nothing, but it's not my decision. And the reason being that but you have to then, you have to think about how you want to structure this as you go forward so that you don't run into this situation. And also you have to think about the precedent that you're setting. So you have to,
Precedents that we're following the law.
understand, but you have, so if you get a bill, right? If you get a bill January 1st, you have to process it, you have to get it out to the applicant. So you have to just look at where your timing is and whether or not there ultimately is some revision to the law. But every 30 days, people should get.
Can I just say, I think the problem here, even though there could be a policy that allows flexibility, the problem here is that this particular case, they did not receive a bill
Correct.
for over 7 months. This is a problem.
I also don't think it's specific. This is.
In the determination,
It
it's
says
like
in-
when I was on the zoning board, if we make a determination, that sets a precedent for the future as well. So whatever we decide here, then that applies forward. And I think that's what they're trying to caution us.
No, I understand.
I'm just cautioning you about the drafting of the resolution.
No, I get it.
The agency shall remit to the applicant a summary of the escrow charge and balance on a monthly basis.
Understood, Tim.
That was not followed.
Yes, we
Okay.
absolutely,
Yeah, hold on.
everyone agrees to that. No one's disagreeing with that.
What do you say?
I'm saying that we have to just be careful. It's the same thing as when you're on the zoning board. You're setting a precedent for the future. So perhaps what Tracy said is correct. We need to look at that law and maybe make it more specific or more general, or whichever the case is, so that going forward, and it's just like Tracy said, if you don't get a timely bill from the consultant, there's many factors to consider.
And I'm not at all saying 7 months, but I'm just saying
Or whatever.
right, I'm not saying 7. I'm trying to give Matt a 30-second sort of.
I think this is the problem that I have. This is the problem that I have. The law tells us that they need to get a monthly statement. What you're arguing is that the process is easily facilitated.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying
You're arguing that you're making me think that this process doesn't work properly. And that's the truth. It doesn't work properly because of a myriad of reasons.
Okay, yes.
However, it doesn't negate the fact that over an extended period of time, this particular individual did not get a bill in a timely sense. So even if we were to be flexible,
Correct,
this is
We're
unreasonable.
not making we're not saying the determination is gonna be different than what we all agree.
I'm not, no, this has
we all
nothing
agree
to
on
do
that.
with the determination.
We all
I'm
agree
not
on that.
arguing determination. They've come here presenting a case in relationship to an escrow bill that they received 6, 7 months after they have initiated a process. So we have to figure out a strategy or adjudicate around their concern of $7,000 something. How do we do that? The law is clear. They need to get a monthly bill. The argument in terms of process, that's also clear because it's not obvious that they could get a bill every month. However, it's unreasonable to wait 6 months for them to get a bill.
Of course it is.
And this is the problem.
No, nobody's arguing that.
See, it's unreasonable if, they pay $500 and then, nothing was taken out of it. They, getting a bill, that doesn't make any difference. The money was taken out. In other words, they would charge on their bill money. Now, if they gave $500 and nothing was taken out, I can see not getting a bill monthly. But what's happening basically is they, would charge $500, whatever, and then all of a sudden, money was taken out of their escrow, making a negative thing, without them being notified.
Right.
That's
And
different.
that's to me is
That's
wrong.
different.
That to me is different.
And I'm not saying you could produce a bill every 30 days. I'm just saying the bill may not necessarily be a current bill every 30 days.
It's
And that's all.
fine.
Right, but
And
you
that's
should,
not much
but
later.
anytime you touch somebody, anytime you have a bill against somebody else's funds, you should be providing them with
That's right.
documentation.
I would think so. I would think so. I mean,
How hard is it to email them?
I don't want to, I really
How
don't
hard
want
is
to
it
go
to email the
outside.
applicant?
I don't want us as a board to go outside of the specific issue. So internally, there's a process problem. Internally, there's a process problem. They shouldn't be held accountable for that.
Nobody's gonna do that.
And I'm not taking this because we're off record in a sense, but in terms of letting that. I observed a planning board hearing last night, where they approved a project. They never mentioned their escrow. They never mentioned needing to provide them with an accounting.
I'm not going to go
just saying-
down this path. I'm not going down this path. I want to stay within the
No, I-
context of this case in front of us before us now. And there's something there, I have a problem with how it's been.
It's understanding if, they paid $500 and nothing else was added to them, if they didn't get a bill. But what's happening right now is they pay $500 and all of a sudden their bill was increasing without their notification.
Right.
That to me is wrong. In other words, if they paid $500 and nothing was taken out of it, I can understand not getting a bill monthly, but nothing's changed. But if you change something there, they should be notified in a timely fashion. And I don't think, all of a sudden, they're here 6, 7 months, and the 7th month, they get a $7,000 bill. That 7,000 wasn't accrued in 1 month.
No,
It was accrued over the life of the 7 months, and they should.
And maybe that's something that you guys should make a record of when you're reviewing the bills that were submitted. When those bills are dated. And that is the basis for why you feel, if they were, fees that were accrued this month or in October. And that potentially a different consideration, it might be consistent with the law as opposed to the bills.
Or could it be before they're allowed to spend hours and hours and hours on something like a 280A, they have to put into the building inspector or zoning and get approval?
I had something to say to them, and this is maybe a little bit off tangent, but I kind of, I'm a little upset with knowing very well, formation of 2005, where there was a map subdivision, therefore 280A does not apply here. That should have been something that the lawyer should have seen right away. And instead, they're invoking 280A up into their whole, legal process, more or less. He should have known that. Now, here's what's gonna happen, and this is where I'm upset about it. We let them off with $500 and that's it.
We'll not let them.
Well, I'm
Yeah,
not saying
I
that, Judge. I'm just sorry.
Could be worded.
Wrong word. No, what I'm saying is that they are then gonna say, the lawyer is gonna send us the bill, the town, to pay that's $7,000. And I don't think that should be, that's what's gonna happen, because I've already spoken to the, secretary, and that's what's gonna happen.
Separate issue.
I know it's a separate issue.
Well, no.
What charge
So,
are
Mike,
you
this is
getting?
where
What do
you
you have
have,
in charge?
you have the ability to address that consultant. and
Yeah,
address
and that,
that.
this hearing isn't to address.
I know.
But this hearing would be a proper thing to go through the consultant bills and maybe discuss amongst each other as to the reasonable and necessariness.
Right, so what
Even
Matt
if
is
the
suggesting
decision
is open up
based
the pile,
on-
open up the pile of bills. Let's look at them to give Matt his few minutes to.
Well, that's that also to make it complete record.
No, but you can look at it right now and it's sort of, as opposed to my.
Well, you
trying
can
to-
discuss what the dates of these bills
Right.
are.
Correct.
Well, here are the bills
We
that,
have to put this for the determination.
Yes.
no, I don't need this in the determination.
He
I need
wants
what
you
you
to
guys, however you
deliberate
guys
it.
determine. But at the same time, one of the considerations is the reasonable
Consideration,
and
sorry, I
necessary.
said that.
And if you're saying that, okay, they got this bill
Matt,
in
you log in your
October,
computer, I'll-
there's nothing on the record to say that it wasn't for services that were October 19th, okay? There's, if you actually look through the physical record, yes, you can see it, but maybe putting it on
Tape
the
and verbally,
tape
right.
verbally, that you guys are aware that these bills are for services that were in March, in April, in May. All these timeframes that are greater than 30 days from the time that it's sent to the
Well, here's a bill right here. Here's a bill. That's dated, well, here's a bill that's dated July 29, 2024. And this is bill for $500.
So you're just saying,
That should have been.
you're further considering right? I'm just adding, you're further considering the bills. Now start your process.
We're further considering the bills. My concern is that, this is, this bill here is from July 29th, 2024, for $500. This one over here.
Right.
So in other
that's
words,
the
that should have been,
Invoices,
And who is,
the dates, but however, here's how I would say this. So the bill came in on July 29th, but what they're billing for are charges back from April 25th, May 22nd, May 23rd, May 31st, June 24th.
I'm not, I can't dispute how these companies bill us. And then, how we address it. The problem is that this information was not communicated to the people who need to pay the bill.
it's not, no, that's not, we're just trying to get it on the record.
Oh, okay.
We're trying to get it on the record.
Yeah, right. Okay, I understand that. Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, so Debbie, keep going. Bills go back to.
So I have one here from, looks like it was, well, no, it was received on August 20th. It may have a date down here, Matt, like, but it's August 20, I can't really read it, 21st, I think it is.
The one that's dated July 29th?
No,
No,
this one's worse. This says the voucher was received on August 21st, 2024. The invoice, detailed invoice has charges from March 27th, March 28th, April 11th,
So back to March 27th.
March 27th, and April 23rd.
March 26th, March 28th, March 26th, April 22nd, 23rd.
we have to read all of them,
And that's what our legal
Well,
counsel suggested.
Right. What Matt is suggesting is that this is part, you're using this as your justification. So
So there's one here from November 26th.
can you just tell me,
That's the date of the voucher.
but who's providing those vouchers? Who's providing the invoice?
Nelson.
Nelson Pope. Okay,
And PV.
right.
The dates on these charges and the details is July 24th, September 26th, and then it shows outstanding, which we already read on.
And that was received when?
I don't have I have a voucher date of 11/26.
All right, here's one. This one here is, this one here is dated 8/8/24, received August 7th.
Yeah,
Right.
received August 7th. This is the 880. Somebody said they couldn't find.
Okay. And
And
then,
then the details are from June seventh, June twenty-fourth, June twenty-fifth.
Okay, and what's the date of that invoice though?
So just said August seventh it was
that's
received.
the, no, that's the voucher.
Oh.
So now
First page.
May 2020.
Yeah. Eight,
That was May 22nd.
August 8th.
August 8th. Okay, and that covers the time frame of one.
June seventh, June twenty-fourth, June twenty-fifth,
Okay,
26th, 27th.
Every single day.
Those were general dates.
Thank you.
So.
Here's one of the, so I just say, August 8th.
Yeah, this is August eighth. This is a different one still.
This is one. here's-
This one is from Grant and Lyons. This is from Grant and Lyons. Department approval date was 8/8.
All day, yeah, yeah.
Grant and Lyons invoices dating 5/22 though.
So that's when this is when they got in here.
Right, so their invoice is dated 5/22, we're spent.
I do want to.
That one is work going back to March or March 26th.
So I
March.
want to go on record and I want to make a statement that these consultants send their invoices and then the next month. So, for example, I have, Grant and Lyons that was submitted, to the town on, 6/13/2024 for May 21 and 23. So the consultants are producing them on a monthly basis. What's happening is we are not providing. So in this term of effect, it's not the consultant's fault. They're providing monthly statements. We are not providing the correct information either back or removing it from the escrows or doing what we're supposed to do in our due diligence.
I mean,
Our ESCO
Now,
process.
I'm sitting and I'm doing this
I'd like to point
2 years
out,
late.
I'd like to point out that on that reference Grant and Lyons bill, number 20811, in the bill 2 box, it shows that this was sent to Maggie, planning at townofhurley.org, and Wendy, bookkeeper at townofhurley.org. So my assumption is that that's almost an instantaneous translation, and that this should have been received. And yet I'm showing that when you look at the, the register, summary register, that is signed off on by Peter McKnight, that bill is not posted until 8/8/2024.
Right,
Same here.
right, that's what, yeah.
Yeah, right,
But that's just backing up what I'm trying to say.
And then, and then on 8/8/2024, it's noted that there's insufficient funds in the escrow. And then again on 8/15, 8/20, 8/21, and 10/24.
Who manages the escrow process?
Seven Maggie.
Well,
So we put
that's
seven.
I thought that was relinquished and taken over.
it was,
It's kind of impossible unless you're gonna have a specific person at the planning board meetings in order to see escrows, to dictate what escrows are due at that time when the applicant is looking for whatever it is, so that they can establish what escrows need to be put into place. That is Mackie's job. So that's what she does.
so, I mean, so the way that a traditional escrow would work is you set up, here you guys have a flat fee of $500. So let's just say it's a large, and there are other projects that they can change the amount. You make your initial escrow balance. There should be a trigger. So let's say that your escrow balance is supposed to be, maintained at a minimum of $500. As soon as you receive a bill, you normally would then send out correspondence to the applicant and say, your escrow fund has reached its, minimum balance. Please replenish before we put you back on the agenda. So you basically, your applicants don't move through the process unless, it's sort of a continual cycle. And then and as you're receiving bills monthly, also you should be immediately passing that information out to the applicants.
I was just gonna say, part of that process,
Right.
when you're.
But you also
for money,
establish what your
send it
minimum levels are, so you know
Right.
when you're requesting replenishment.
This mayor had said that in all his 30 years, they wouldn't put you on the agenda if you didn't have money in your escrow.
And because you have the month in between, the reality is that normally, like I was just saying, you would have all of your prior months at least. You might not, you won't have that current meeting or that current, month's invoice depending on those items. Right, but if their prior dropped below what your minimum balance was, you wouldn't put them on the agenda unless they provided you with.
So we always would put in a 25% cap. So once you hit the 25%, you had to replenish your escrows. So at that next meeting, that's when you would say, okay, you're below that 25% cap. We now need such and such amount of monies in order to process what we did tonight and to move forward. So, and that's when it takes place.
Right.
And
But
then-
at the same time, you should
And
provide
then
them
the
a summary
documentation
of
forward.
why their escrow
Correct.
drops.
Right.
Correct.
25%.
And
Correct.
prior to Maggie on the planning board, we would go over that at the meeting. This is what the escrow balance is, and the police would say, what should you be asking for? You're like, what amount do you want me to ask them for? We would then come up with an amount, okay, you better be asking, tell me you need this, tell me you need that. That does not happen anymore.
Here's one, okay, we'll go over here. This one here, the bill came in at 522, was from, lawyers. It was presented to the town, to the planning board, on August 8th, for 3 months.
It wasn't presented to the planning board, it was to Maggie. But Maggie does not share any of those bills with the planning board. The planning board has no idea what anybody's escrow balance is or what they owe. And that was decided back in June of 2023 to not allow the planning board to be in charge of it. Have any contact with that? Any points?
Thank you all for your time. My dog is sick and needs some medication, and I didn't realize I'd been here this long, so. Good night.
Thank you, Sarah.
No, June of 2023, and then it was September 2023 when Bonnie sent us all the email that she hadn't been paid for 18 months and she was no longer coming to the beach.
That's right, that's exactly right.
And in June, Peter said that him and Maggie would get this under control. So then, but it was taken away from the planning board to see anything.
Why was it taken up in plan with the CV center? What reason?
They had a discussion at Bonnie said that between Bonnie, Peter and Maggie, that they could handle that. It really shouldn't be a planning board issue. Always had it, all those years, we did it. When I was before Maggie, we had Alan. And, before Alan, I forget the other guy, but we always, every month, went through the escrows. But in June, Maggie had stated, I can't get a control of the escrows. I cannot do the escrows. That's what started it. And Peter said, I'll help you with it. And then, it must have been the next meeting that Bonnie said, well, don't involve them at all. And then in September, we got the thing that Bonnie's not coming because nobody's being paid. It's like, what the hell? You guys were just, 2 months ago, you were all gonna get it under control.
So, and I took it for the current office, all we basically did was take away the shadow. I mean, there was supposed to be some tracking on their side, and as invoices came in, they were supposed to be sent to Maggie. And then we also tried to look at what was going on, as did, and it still is, John, but that's really that. It's not all.
Okay. So why don't let's make a determination right now.
We need to wait for Matt to come out.
That's right, resolution.
That's right, Nick.
But this is it.
But do you want to take a 5-minute break or something? Or
I
have to go to the, that's why, me too, that's why I was thinking.
Could I get all those bills back?
Oh, yeah, here's some right here.
I'm gonna give them to,
I think that's it.
Mom and Pop's need that.
Tim was reading off the computer.
Yeah.
Well, probably, I mean, we got the kind of question. 288.
This is my understanding that the provincial board hearing myself pursuant to chapter 19 of the town code to address the planning board escrow fees charged to applicant Marie Schultz for the application reference to planning board file 2024 dash number 4. And whereas the town board has reviewed and considered all the submissions received in this hearing, and as referenced on the record, the actual submissions have been listed by Tracy, who put that in here during the hearing. Now therefore be it resolved that the town board finds that the planning board failed to remit to the applicant a summary of the escrow charges and balance on a monthly basis as required by section 19-4G of the town code. Be it further resolved that due to this failure of the planning board and consistent with that, board finds that the initial escrow deposit of $500 shall constitute the payment satisfying the escrow fees owed under this application, and no further fees shall be assessed for the completed application as stated.
And maps will be signed.
That'd be
If
one.
you say as of this date, it's gonna still be.
They've approved it, conditioned on it being paid, and so now we're saying that it's paid.
Okay, so as such, be it further resolved that as such, the
$500 will be considered payment.
no, I already, we already
You
addressed that,
said
but
that.
just, I'm just trying
You're also
to,
getting-
because you guys don't have the power, but as such, as the application has been created,
It was approved,
as the
conditioned
application
on-
has been approved on the condition that escrow fees be satisfied,
town board determines
the town board determines that.
escrow fees have been satisfied.
No, we've already,
We already
Said
said
that, you
that.
said that.
We already said
yeah,
that.
we're just addressing now basically that, as the application has been approved, pending payment of the escrow fees. Given that the board's determination, all conditions have been satisfied in this. The map is
All conditions have been satisfied. The planning board is,
all
Very
planning board
clear.
conditions have been satisfied.
And clarify town board.
Also, remember, we are forcing the final maps.
I don't know what I'm on thinking of.
Like we do.
All
All right, does anyone want to add anything else to this decision?
Let me ask you a question. They paid $1,900 total so far. So their application fee is $500.
They're,
No.
no.
The application fee,
Their escrow fee was 500, their application was 1,300, their public hearing fee was 100.
the escrow,
And that all went into the general fund except for the $500 end.
the $500 is for what is estimated to be professional costs. Okay, so there was a $500, that was going professional costs would be billed from this application. So we have on a monthly basis, they were to receive the report saying, okay, we billed the 500, you now owe us another 300, you know, and then next month, you know,
So 1,300.
Went into the general fund,
I know, but what's the 1,300 charge to?
the application fee.
That's the application. That doesn't get funded.
No.
Yeah, okay. The $100 will cover the.
Nothing else.
I know, nothing gets funded. Okay.
And then the 500 is in the escrow fund.
I asked you, I just a question, like, just walk us through it. 1,300 for an application fee? That's reasonable? I'm just,
That's why we're taking it.
I know that, I know, because the thing is.
So that's not something that's.
We're not changing it.
No, no, I know that.
It's not before this board. Those fees have been paid, they're long gone, they're not here. to
No,
dispute
under
those.
normal, in other communities, I do not believe that that.
That's why we're taking
Yeah, but
the
is that, is the application fee $1,300 for everybody?
No, it's 500 and
It's based on,
400
you know, it's based
Based on
on,
the fee schedule.
it's based on the fee schedule, based on the number of lots, based on whatever it is,
So not each individual, so by each individual.
which is in your fee schedule, which now you've adjusted your fee schedule.
And which is why for this, you know, I prefer to look at this case narrowly and not extrapolate to other things, like other issues. And we're dealing with this case.
And I agree wholeheartedly and with that statement, but this brings up other issues that can be addressed in other venues and should be discussed by the board. But, you know, the venues as well, because this is brought to light certain.
The board should really call the question is, I mean, right, with Matt's
All right,
resolution.
is there anything else anyone wants to add to this resolution? And we
Well, I want,
All right, so move.
the only question that I have is whether or not we should include not only the law, but also an observation. The inconsistencies in the process. I don't know if that's necessary here.
I would say not this time. That just opens up a different can of worms, but they can take that out.
And that's such another set of precedent that we don't
This
want.
way, they just want. Real law. You know, you can't, especially with inconsistencies, and she's gonna be giving you all kinds of reasons, but this just get down, that just get down. The law is very simple,
It's very clear.
you know.
I think because they've brought what the point of the complexity of
Right.
how, bills are received.
But then looking at the bill, we're not, they've received that, we're getting emails, just that she was not that. Probably, yeah.
Can we move it and second it, and vote on it?
I don't think he's quite done yet.
As he gets down the thing. This one.
I've seen the best before.
All that, I think
All right,
that's.
so just the final language, that last little part that we were adding, it says, as the application has been approved on the condition that outstanding escrow fees are paid, this condition is now met and the town considers the application complete. There shall be no further escrow charges applied on this application. All right, did everyone understand? Did that accurately reflect what the board is going to be moving to decide? So do I have a motion?
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second. You could change that.
All in favor? Let's do a roll call because some people are outside of the video.
Deb Doherty, aye.
Barbara Simpson, hi.
Tim Kelly, aye.
Mike Baum's aye.
Diana Klein, aye.
Do we have another motion?
So moved. What am I moving?
Close the
Close
meeting.
the meeting.
I
Motion to close.
Meeting.
Is there any further business?